Good afternoon, good evening, as one of our panellists said a couple of weeks ago. Welcome back to the Jags cast. We're here today not to cause the confusion that you've probably been reading about, whether it's been in football and politics. We're here to have a chat with an absolutely standout player for 3 seasons with us. Joining me this morning is Davy Mains. Good morning, Davy.
Hello, morning. Twiddling the knots today.
That's it. All sanitised. And also at Alan Fraser, number 7. Morning, Alan.
Aye, not touching any knobs this morning.
Thank you.
And also, as you can see on the screen, our star guest, Tomas Cerny. Tomas, welcome and thank you for coming on.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
So, Tomas, getting through the kind of lockdown period now. I know it's starting to lift a little bit, and the weather's been fantastic. All family keeping well?
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough that nobody in the family have been directly, affected by the COVID-19. But my wife has been back at work full time, so I have a baby and a 5-year-old to look after full time last couple of months. So that certainly kept me very busy. But no, just try to take the positive side of it, and I think I'll be looking back at this period in maybe 10 years and be grateful for all the time I have to spend with the kids. With football you travel a lot and you're away a lot, and then to have 2 month period where I'm with them pretty much 24/7, as much as it is very exhausting and challenging at times, it's also amazing. So yeah, try to look at it more positively. Yeah.
Good stuff, Tomas. Well, what we're going to do is we'll start going back to when you've obviously 2007, having come from, you were still signed at Sigma Olomouc, but you moved to Hamilton and loan, won promotion with them in 2008, and then of course you signed a permanent deal with the Ackies, which I think was for quite a substantial amount of money.
Yeah, I think the whole story is a bit strange and funny in a way. I was playing my football back at Sigma Olomouc, and I think the start of the career was really good and really promising. When I was 16, I started playing for the national teams and managed to get through to 2 European Championships. Played against Chiellini and David Silva and was at the championship with the likes of Ronaldo and Rooney, and got a bronze medal at under 19. So it's good kind of start to the career. But I joined the first team when I was 17. But then I kind of sat on the bench for the next 4 years. Although I was fortunate enough that the club at the time had the B team or reserves and the kind of first and the second tier in the Czech Republic, which was fully professional league. So I still was getting games there and gaining experience there. But after 3-4 years being in the first team, oh no, we got an intruder. Come here, Luca. Quick. Come quick.
Morning, Luca. Oh, he's got that tail on.
As a first jersey, signed by everybody.
Oh,
brilliant.
Right,
that's superb. Hi, Luca.
Yeah. He was desperate to put it on. But so I was really frustrated with the fact that I wasn't playing. I had one first team game when I was 17 or 18. Otherwise, I maybe play 80 games and as for the reserves in the first division. But I was, in the under 21 national team, playing there. But I wasn't. Ended up then I was starting off playing even for the reserve team at my club because they want me to be, on the bench and traveling with the team and all that kind of stuff. So, and at the same time, I was finishing my first university degree. So I was coming to I was 21, finishing my first degree, and a lot of things kind of happened at the same time. And I thought I can't stay here anymore. either try to move somewhere else and kickstart my career, or part of me was like, I might just, chuck it here and I just focus on my university and just go different path. And somehow a friend I knew since I was maybe 14, 15, was a plumber in Bulgaria. As a Czech guy who moved to Pegberries and to Scotland in that kind of Perthshire area, and ended up settling in there and got a job as a plumber and lived there for a few years. And he played for Loch United as well. Mm-hmm. So I sent him an email and said whether I could come over and visit him and just see whether I could get a club in Scotland, and the worst case scenario, just get a job for a few months and just learn some English and then go back home. So that was the intention. So the club back home, they were obviously not very happy. So I kind of had to say, if you don't let me go now, I will just retire now, and I'm going back to uni, finish my second degree and go. So they kind of felt, okay, that's not an option. So they gave me this kind of piece of paper that allowed me to go to another club and just basically say I'm free on loan for a season. I still had like 3 years left on my contract as well back home at the time. So I made on my computer, it was this old computer, it was back 2007. I made a couple of kind of video DVDs of myself, looking back at them, ridiculous. So I remember, I just packed my backpack and turned up my friend's house in Bulgaria. That was on Friday. And Saturday we went to Dundee, and I went to train with them with Lochie. And then I remember on the way back from training, we had these couple of those DVDs I made, and we went to the reception at Tannadice and then Spark, and I just walked up to the reception. This is my DVD. But I think the manager at Lochie was Ray McKinnon at the time, and he said, "Oh, you look good. I think you are too good for us here." And so he ended up somehow put me in touch with Hamilton. So on Monday, I was going down to Hamilton to play some kind of friendly match against Oxford, I remember. And and I ended up staying. And I signed kind of a couple of days before the start of the season. So I was kind of signing as a number 2 to Glenn Halliwell at the time. But for me, I think it was like £100 a week or something like that. But for me at the time, I was just happy. I got a job in Scotland. I could still play football. Got Dixon, Bishop Briggs, and that's how it all started for me in Scotland. So I only signed, I think, 4 or 5 months initially. And I remember when I was leaving, I told my mum and dad I'll be home for Christmas for sure. That was the plan. And then we were top of the league, by Christmas. So Hamilton offered me extension, and then I put myself in goals and finished the season very strong, and we won the promotion to the Premiership. So that's the start of my Scotland career.
That's quite a story. I didn't know any of that stuff. That you just come over and stayed with a friend, and knocked a few doors and looked for a few clubs and stuff. But that's an amazing story. But also that Ray McKinnon, who's obviously a guy that you has kind of launched your career there by having some friends that you could talk to and get you started.
Yeah, I suppose the contact. In the contact, he gave me contact to this agent in Dundee called David, and he then knew Billy Reid a bit and just said, Billy was still looking for the only I think one goalkeeper at the time. It was a few days before the start of the season. So I was really very lucky to end up there and, have that season we've had. And it just kind of really, I kind of fell in love with football again, just coming back away from everything and just nobody knew anything about me here, so I just felt free to play. Nobody was questioning my age or my height, well, back home, I think that was always a problem. I was too young and then too small for them, and then
It seems staggering, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does really, doesn't it? But it's because goalkeeping is a specialist position. So many young guys must not make it, from their clubs who, are obviously good enough and would have been good enough,
Yeah, I think that's something I had to do, to just have that fresh start, not being put into the kind of box, The crazy thing was I was regularly playing for the under-21s, national teams. So I was playing against some, as I mentioned, there's so many other, big players I played against and was doing okay. But I think within the club, I was put into some kind of box. So he's 6'1", and obviously I would get a chance maybe when I was 24, 25, but I couldn't wait that long, and I would probably end my career before that. So I think it was a bit of a gamble moving to Scotland. I think my career could have ended there potentially, on a strawberry field, but but it was a kind of calculated gamble that definitely paid off, and and just kind of kickstart my career again.
Well, of course, after a very successful spell with Accies and a very successful time as well, and of course you met Laura as well, your wife, but you also had a brief, you had a year and a half in CSK Sofia with 32 clean sheets in 57 games. So it would be fair to say, Thomas, that perhaps you knew better than your coaches at Sigma.
Yeah, to be fair, I was again the move to CSK Sofia just came after I got injured at Hamilton and had a shoulder operation. My contract was running out, so then the biggest club in Bulgaria took me on, and I got myself in as the number one and played 1.5 years as number one every single game. So it was very, special, amazing experience. I had a 2-year contract, but I think by the point when there were, some money problems, and they owe me quite a lot of money by that point. So I just kind of had to stood firm and just said, what, I cannot play anymore unless you start, kind of paying back the debt, and that's where kind of my CSK career ended. But it was great time there. We left in Sofia for 2 years with, as I said, with my wife, and it was a great time. Just love the city, love the country. Although we were a bit apprehensive initially moving there, but longer we stayed, I think more we enjoyed it. And then and the record was pretty good. Yeah, I think we should play against play in front of I had a very good team in front of me, but there was always kind of playing for Celtic or Rangers. Maybe there's not much. Not much work, but there will be 1-2 things you have to do in the game, and you have to do them well. Otherwise, you are out. So it was kind of high pressure, but it was a good 1.5 years of football, and do 2 good years in Bulgaria for us. Yeah.
And then, of course, after Bulgaria, there was a kind of brief period in Greece, which I think was pretty much the same as how the Bulgarian one was. I think that, like you said, I remember you saying it as well, but it came down to you weren't getting paid and stuff. But the 4-month contract with Hibs, that got you back into sort of Scottish football again, didn't it?
Yeah, yes. So I came back from Greece in January. That was when Laura was pregnant with Luca. So she was, Luca was born in February. So we kind of had to make a decision in December. I was on a 2-year contract in Crete, and I wasn't being paid. So we thought, if we have a baby here, then we have to stay here, but I might not be getting any money. So that didn't make much sense. So we decided to go back to Scotland, initially just back to Kilmarnock, where Laura is from. But again, within a week, Hibs called me and said they were looking, for some experience, kind of more of a backup at the time, because they had a number one goalkeeper. So for me, it was just an opportunity to get back into football. So I went there, spent 4 months, but wasn't playing. And I think that's when, Alan Archibald gave me a call kind of towards the end of the season, and, asked me if I would, want to come to Thistle. And at the time, I felt that was a perfect opportunity to get back into playing in Scotland. Thistle were in the Premiership, and I'm very grateful looking back, that Alan, picked me, because it, gave me another 3 years playing regularly in the Scottish Premiership, and probably gave me one of biggest kind of highs and lows of my career, and a lot of emotion, a lot of experiences, a lot of friends. So I'll be always grateful for that phone call he initially made, and I think he might have felt at the time himself it was a little bit of a gamble, because I was away for 3 years. He wouldn't probably know much of me for those 3 years, and but ended up working out quite well, and as I said, very, very grateful that call came, and he gave me the opportunity.
I'm going to ask you, Thomas, just about, because I've just realised that I was going through some of the old photographs. Your first public appearance with Partick Thistle was shared as a massive media event. You were in George Square. The players were there with the new kits, and suddenly Kingsley appears. Was that not a very strange and surreal experience to have signed back for a club, and all of a sudden we're taking over the middle of Glasgow with this large yellow sun god, or whatever he's been described as?
Sun god, definitely a sun god.
Well, certainly was. I wasn't just in a fuzzy thing like, the club's doing, all these things. That's, they're owning the George Square. Season not even started, so I thought that's a good sign. No, it was good fun actually. There's quite a lot of people turned up for it, and obviously it gave club a lot of publicity at the time, which I think was very good. It was an interesting start. Yeah.
And of course, your debut, your competitive debut, was back in Old Haunting Ground, New Douglas Park. Surreal that the fixtures, your first competitive game would be back at Hamilton where it started.
Yeah, it was surreal. I remember you started up for the game, and then all the kind of old memories from Hamilton. That was when that was my first football I played in Scotland, was there. Not much changed. I felt a bit, emotional before the game, because I felt obviously a lot of pressure and a responsibility to start well for Thistle. First game, just kind of, that's always, especially for the goalkeeper. I think if you don't play well your first game for the club, it's then very difficult to amend that, and then so the pressure was obviously there. But at the end, I don't think the game could have gone any better. We got, was it Freddie sent off after 20 minutes or something?
That's right.
And so we end up playing 70 minutes and 10 men. I had, Liam and was it Jack in front of me, both what age they were, 17, 18, 19 centre backs. Yeah. And then we ended up, keeping clean sheet and getting a 0-0 draw. Which was, good start, and just kind of kicked off from there.
And of course, after that, you played right through, and then there was an ankle injury that you picked up in October.
against Aki's again.
Against Aki's.
Yeah.
This time I thought, I remember that. That was horrifying to be in the stands watching that, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So that was the second game against Hamilton. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Luckily, luckily, I think I just feel like people thought I had a lot of injuries at Thistle, and I think in a way it's true. But I think the way it worked out, I've not missed that many games. I've played I think over 100 games in those 3 seasons. So I was either just before international break, or the worst one I think was towards the end of that season, and then I kind of had like a couple of months, but that was mostly off season. So I was lucky not to miss as many games as I could have in that period, and still playing over 100 games in 3 years was I think was good. But yes, that was the ankle injury. And I was against Hamilton.
Yes,
1-0 at home, and
1-0.
that kind of pushed Dundee United, further to the relegation, and that secured our Premiership kind of status almost at that time, and so that was a big night as well. I remember I made a couple of good saves in that game as well, and we ended up kind of snatching all 3 points, and
that I think is an example that Ramey was going to talk about in terms of your game management.
Yeah.
I don't think that ball was in play for any more than 60 minutes during that entire game.
Yeah, how long can you lie on the ground holding a ball after you've made a save in a game?
Like my theory is, as long as the ball is not in a play, I can't lose a goal.
Yep.
So as long as the ball is not on the pitch, or it's in my arms, or we're just sitting on that 6-yard box line, nobody's gonna score. So I'm trying to extend those periods as much as I can.
You were very good at it.
Especially I remember it was a game. That time it was a game for Hamilton. We played at Tannadice, and I think I had a bit of a reputation of that at the time there. And I remember Craig Levine knew me, and I think he got his assistant to have separate watch to stop the game every time I was taking a goal kick or free kick or whatever. And we, as luck would have it, we scored early on. I think we were 1-0 up after 10 minutes. So I had a lot of time to game manage there.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with slowing a game down when you're ahead. There's nothing wrong with it.
100%. But I remember there was a big article in the paper after, and he was going mental in it, and just ended up saying it was 22 minutes.
Thomas, I was just going to ask you, you come into that team, obviously you come in as a replacement for Scott Fox, who'd been there for a number of years. What was it like going into the dressing room, and how difficult was that to fit into a new dressing room where we still had a number of guys who'd played together for a number of years?
I think the first challenge was, I think, Paul Gallagher was still there, and I think he very much also, like Gaffer, kind of thought he would be more of a goalkeeping coach for that season. I think he very much wanted to play. So I think it was important for me first do well in the pre-season, and I show I deserve to start the season and be the number one. And I think once that was, once the first game started, I think Gal was then brilliant with me. I think first month, I think he was very much, I would like to, I still feel like I should be playing. I think once we kind of started the season, I think he was, very good and very supportive and good there. And in terms of other boys, there's never been, a problem. I think it was always kind of good bunch of guys, and you have the guys who were there for years, like Chris Doolin, and who just take me in very very quickly, and just became friends very quickly. And you have Banzo, all these guys who were there for years, and they were great with me from the start. Made it, just got a really good understanding with Big Freddy early on as well. So he helped me to settle in. So yeah, there's no issue no issue at all. So it was very good.
Of course, that season, I think that was the season we just missed out on top six, which we then made up for, obviously, the following season. But the one thing that I think we all had was we never seemed to start the season well at all. That was a kind of a thing. Was that just the gelling, or we were unlucky with injuries at times in key positions, obviously, but, as a goalkeeper and you're wanting like a settled defence and a settled midfield, was that quite difficult to, manage as well?
I think it's hard to put a finger on why we had a very slow start to the season. Every season, that was Thistle, there was no exception. And I remember the first season, there was the last game of the first kind of round of game, and we had Dundee United at home, and it was us or them really to go bottom and be rock bottom rather than just. And I think we beat them 3-0 at Firhill, and that just kind of really turned things around. I think if that game went the other way, God knows how the season would, progress.
Yeah.
And then we, I think we went away for a couple of days, just kind of a bit of a team building, and then came back and got a couple of good results again, and then just the season then turned up being a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to put a finger on. Yeah, certainly injuries would have played parts in it. I think the back four, maybe not being as established, early on this season, but I think we also had a problem with not scoring goals. We would go on for long periods without scoring, maybe just scoring one goal. So yeah, it would have been a combination of things. But obviously, if we knew what the problem was, we'd probably be able to solve it.
I think that was the problem. There was some games we really totally dominated the whole first half and just couldn't score. It just wasn't going in. Whether it was bad luck or bad play, I don't know. But it was games you just thought, get in at half time, get one goal, let's get ahead here, and it just kept not happening.
Yeah, 100%. And for me as well, sometimes, as you said, maybe the first half was really good, and you are a goalkeeper, maybe you've not had too much to do the first half. We had chances, we missed them, and then the pressure builds up, and the longer the game progresses, it's more difficult. And then some of the second halves would be then the other way. The other team would maybe start dominating a bit, and so yeah, strange. Yeah, it was. I think sometimes the games we played best, we didn't win, and the games we didn't play very well, we managed, those would score one goal, and we managed to get a clean sheet or something and get a big result. So, yeah, it's hard to...
Yeah, that first season you were with us, we scored 41 goals in 38 games, and we're the joint lowest goal scorers in the league, but we scraped it and we managed to stay up.
Yeah, so it's I don't know all the statistics, but I suppose they've not been scoring as many goals as we could have.
Well, you'd also signed an extension in January 2016. That took you through to 2018 summer. Of course, the following season was the season we finished top six, and rightfully so at the end. In the end of 2000, even in May 2016, your first year, you were voted Player of the Year. And rightfully so. And again, throughout that top six, some of the saves you had were incredible. I mean, throughout your whole Thistle career, some of the saves you had were incredible. Is there any that sticks out for you?
I think there's always going to be that big week we had to get in the top six spot. And I think for me, what makes it even more bigger and kind of really emotionally charged was because it was on back of that big mistake I made at Kilmarnock. I don't think I made too many mistakes in those 3 years, but I think this one was definitely the biggest mistake I made. And we were 1-0 up at Rugby Park, controlling game okay, and then that shot from Connor Sam kind of slipped through me, and I can't explain it until now. And then I think there was an international break then, so I feel that those 2 weeks were two longest weeks in my life, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't, get out of, my head. I remember journalists were calling me and just asking me about the goal and stuff like that. And I just, it was probably one of the lowest, periods. And then, of course,
the thing is, Thomas, it stood out because you didn't make mistakes like that. You know what I mean? And as you say, it was an international break. You had all that time to sit and think about it. But you hardly made any mistakes that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this one was a bad one, and all sort of things were going through my head at the time. We were getting closer to top 6. That was a bit of a setback for us. And then we had these 3 massive games coming up in 1 week. We have Ross County at home, we had Celtic away, we had Motherwell. And then obviously going to that first game against Ross County, I felt personally we have to win this game. I cannot have a bad game here. I have to play well. We have to, get the result we need. And that was the big game for Dulce. Obviously, when he scored his 2 goals, just turned the game around. We managed to get those all important 3 points back on track. Second in top 6. Although it wasn't still done, we still had to pick more points. And then we went to Celtic Park, and I think I played against Rangers and Celtic. I played at Ibrox and Celtic, many games, but there's not many times you come up with a result, So to get a draw and save the penalty in that game, it was very special. And again, that point got us a wee bit closer to that top 6 spot. And then we had a Motherwell on Saturday to clinch top 6, and we won 1-0, and I made that good save, from the header, so it was very special week, and it was coming, after that mistake, when that week was over and we secured top 6, that was probably the best feeling I had, and football, because all the pressure went away, and just the joy of everybody around you, securing the top 6. And we felt top 6, we are safe now, first of all, and we achieved something that no Thistle team achieved for many years. So it was a great feeling.
It's some way to make up for a mistake at Kelly is saving a penalty at Parkhead, though.
Yeah.
100%.
Can you talk about that save? Did you know which way you were going? Did you know which way he was going to hit it?
Well, you always kind of look at the footage, of the last few penalties the opposition players score. So maybe look at 3, 4, 5 players who are most likely to take a penalty if that happens. And I knew, Sinclair was taking most of them that season. He was, I think, the player of the year that year, and he was on a good form. And he, I remember he took one at Tynecastle the game before, and he put it kind of high to the goalkeeper's right and scored a good goal. So I thought, well, he might, that was probably the only thing I thought, we might do it again. So I tried to go. Try to dive as high as I can, go a bit early, go a bit forward. So, because the penalty, I ended up saving it, not too low, but I think it would have ended up probably quite high in the corner. But I managed to meet it, quite early and get my hand on it, and yeah, it was a good feeling.
That was a belter. It was brilliant. Brilliant.
Davey, what about saves that you remember? Any standout ones for you that you can remember?
No, I mean the Celtic one, the standout one. I think what we were damn lucky to have Tam across those 3 seasons in the Premierships.
Yeah.
Kilmarnock mistake aside, I'd totally forgotten about the Kilmarnock mistake, Tam, honestly, until I went back and did the research stuff and looked at the dates, because in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter that season. The same as because we won't now talk about the results after we made top 6, because it doesn't matter. It's all right.
No.
That doesn't skin it past. What 1 point for 5 games, but never mind. I think that it's funny because when you think back to that game at Celtic Park, we had watched our team fight, and then quite often we'd go to Parkhead, we'd lose a goal and we'd fold, or the heads would go down. And that game at Parkhead, I don't know what happened. The heads were up. We were desperate to get back into that game, and it was a really good goal from Addy. And probably the only thing that Addy's actually remembered for, unfortunately. And then he had a chance at the end where he could have won it. So we were more than competitive and more than in that game. And that's my abiding memory of that season.
My other memory of a great save was the home game against Dundee. When, what's his name? Is it Musa? Is that the guy?
Musa, yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know what the defence were doing because they all went across to the guy who played it. Musa's in the middle, completely on his own. Obviously, he should have scored, but you just dived the way he was going to hit it, and that was a great save, point blank. What was so good about that for me was because we were in behind the goal there, we all just thought, goal, and then it wasn't. It was a brilliant save.
So I think one of those that probably happened just once or twice in the whole career, and it was just almost like what made the save was not giving up on it. I knew I had a very small chance of saving that because the ball was all the way across and the guy got like half of the goal open just to tap it in, and just went there and just tried to just dive as far as I could and just get up it blindly. And then, luckily it just hit my hand and just stuck under my body somehow and stayed under me, luckily, because if it probably bounced off, you probably tap it in again because he was there on his own. But that was a great kind of great feeling, because that whole game was a bit strange. I think we were not playing very well, and Dundee had a few chances, and we ended up scoring those goals late on and winning it in the injury time. So yeah, that was a good game.
Was that the same game that you also saved the penalty?
Yeah,
as well, because I remember there'd been a penalty save against Dundee. I was trying to remember if it was the same one.
No, I remember it was a big game for us, and we had an awful start. I think we were 1-0 down early on, and Dundee had several chances first half. Then they got a penalty, and then the second half was a bit better from us, but Dundee still had a few chances, and we end up kind of snatching all the points in the injury time. Which does not happen too often when I played for Thistle.
It doesn't happen too often at all, ever in the history of Thistle Town. It's just, if I remember rightly, Dundee was swarming all over us. It felt as if they were playing 5 up front that day. And we just could not clear the ball, and it just kept coming back at us. It was awful. Jamie, sorry, go on.
No, not at all. Unfortunately, the following season after top 6, I think it was high hopes from everybody, and unfortunately it didn't pan out that way, and ultimately we ended up, well, the last day we got again, funnily enough, it was Dundee as well, which actually ensured at least we had a playoff. But then the 2 Livingston games, and it just when you look back now, I've looked back at the 2 legs of it, and you think it was almost as if, apart from the confidence that had probably gone throughout the team, but it just looked as though it was a game or two too far, at the end of that season, 2 games too far for that. What was your thinking, for example, sort of going through that season, from being in the changing room?
I feel, to be completely honest, I think the top 6 finish anyway could have been a little bit of a curse, because there was maybe a few people thinking, we are this top 6 team and nothing, can happen to us. We will. That might be one little thing, but I feel the whole season there was so many things that had just not gone well for us. Whether it was injuries, whether it was just really losing goals in the last minutes and stuff like that. one thing I personally felt, my first season with Thistle, the big Freddie was there. Liam was playing, but the first season he was a bit inconsistent, making mistakes and stuff. But we were solid. If something came to our box, Freddie would be there, heading away, whatever. Second season, Liam was absolutely immense. He was unbelievable that season. When we made the top 6, his improvement, was incredible from that first year to the second when I was at Thistle. And you always felt very, very secure, especially those like last 10 minutes in a game, you might be winning 1-0, and then teams start throwing things, into the box and stuff. And you had somebody like that who would just, clear everything. And I felt we were missing that a little bit that season, that third season I was there. I think we tried to bring players that were more, footballers, and then obviously it makes sense. You finish top 6, you want to keep improving the way you play football. But we ended up, a lot of games where maybe Barts was there with Danny Devine, and they were both really good footballers, really good on the ball. But I think we were then missing that part of the game at times to get the result we needed at the time we needed it. And so I think for me personally, that was a big difference for me. And I think we probably played some of the best football maybe at times that season, but it was very difficult to get the results, because sometimes the team would maybe overpower us or we were losing those.
No, I always thought that when Jordan Turnbull went back, because he was then sold by Coventry, because he obviously started that season on loan, he'd looked great, and then recalled from his loan and sold to Northampton. And I don't quite think we ever really had a settled defence in front of you. I think there seems to be a lot of changes, a lot of injuries. And honestly, I agree. I think we miss Freddie.
Yeah, and then personally, then you don't feel that same security, and I think you just start trying to second guess, and then maybe do bits extra things you maybe don't need to be doing and stuff like that, and potentially might have affected me as well. But I think it was
certainly the chopping and changing between 3 at the back and 4 at the back and 5 at the back affected us.
But I think that season wasn't about those 2 playoff games for me. It was about the whole season. I think the season wasn't good enough. And I was hands down the worst feeling I've experienced in football, and it took me a while to kind of shake it off. And I just there was a few weeks I just couldn't even think of getting back on the football pitch, and it was very, very difficult period for me personally. I felt it was responsible because I was there on the pitch, and I knew how much it meant to the fans, and then just the see. I was.
I think though, from a fan's perspective, though, Thomas, there was no way that you could have even thought about, sort of. I know you say, I know what you're saying about being part of the team, but certainly no blame, because to be honest with you, Thomas, some of the saves again you had that season got us points and didn't get us automatically relegated. So I suppose it swings and roundabouts. It is a team game at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I feel like everyone who was playing that season is, as much as everyone was playing the top 6 season is, should get the credit, but everyone was playing the season we got relegated. We are all responsible for what happened, and that's something I always will, regret. But it's
right.
This is what it is.
Well, we're not going to go down to that.
Let's Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yes.
So
Well, what I was going to say is actually was just to get us back onto a positive before Davey comes back in, was you inspired kids in your time at Firhill. So I have a couple of tweets from fathers. Ross McGill, he said that you're a hero to his 10-year-old son Ewan. He's become a goalkeeper because of you, and he still regularly watches your highlight reel on YouTube. And at penalties, he smashes the studs off the post just like you did. And Forley Mac, 4LLY Mac, his son Connor is a huge fan. And his dad says he's the only keeper in the league he's seen knock the rubber off the bottom of his boots against the post.
It's amazing to hear. It's amazing to hear. And I think that's one of the reason you want to play football at this level, just to inspire more kids, to do the same. And it's even more relevant for me just seeing my 5-year-old, and you see how he kind of got inspired just being around football, and then he just runs around the garden and just does his own commentary and just throws the ball against the wall and saves it, and and you see how much joy that brings him. It's great to hear, these other boys maybe being inspired by what they see in Firhill.
You will need to get him a shirt that fits him, though. I know he likes wearing the shirt, but you'll need to get him a shirt that fits him.
And the post banging, that's only, sometimes you try to get a wall for the free kick, and then some of the guys in the wall are just idiots. You try to talk to them. Try to talk to them and they don't even look at you, and nothing. So that's the only way to get their attention. Just smack the stats into the post so you kind of wake up and just now you move right or you move left or whatever. So that's usually the reason. And also fan base.
Well, we shall pass that on to all the kids that are watching as inspiration.
That's exactly it. Alan, have you got anything else?
No, I just want to not end on talking about relegation, but just thank Tomas for those brilliant saves and great memories the few years you were at Firhill, and just wish him all the best for the future.
Absolutely. Raymond, we have a poll going out, do we?
Yes, I believe so. We've got a poll going out, which will be, I think it's Donners is going to tag it on to today's footage, which will be a poll of the goalkeepers best that have been seen at Firhill. And obviously Tomas is very, very good. Well, he's going to be so high it's not true. Let's be honest about it.
Well, let's see what the punter say. I'll be surprised
there
if
will be a poll. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if Tomas doesn't come out as number one in this. So that will be tagged on.
I don't think. I would not feel comfortable if I was, because if you think about, Alan Ruff, those other very good goalkeepers at Thistle over the years. So I don't think I'll be comfortable to be
let's see what the fans say, Tom. It's not.
Thomas, I was lucky enough to be at the League Cup final and see Thistle beat Celtic 4-1. So I'm going to have to vote for Alan. I'm sorry. For me, Alan Ruff is a absolute legend, and his career, I've never been nowhere near what he's done throughout his career, whether it was Thistle or elsewhere. So, but just to be even mentioned and that's some kind of top 10, I would say that's for me pretty amazing, and just being a part of Partick Thistle at all, it's great, and it was kind of after having the period kind of away from Scotland, I think coming back to Thistle was kind of almost like coming home and being back in Scotland, playing the Premiership and being back in Glasgow, and the fans, although maybe it's not 10,000, but it's you kind of the support is very good at Thistle. It's consistent. It's I remember having away fans. Every time you get you have that stand away and quite well filled. And just
I felt, I think I said it before, but those couple of minutes after the winning game at Firhill is always gonna be one of the best feelings I've experienced in my life. So that's I'll be always grateful.
Well, Tom,
brilliant, Thomas.
We think you're a legend. You're on the poll. Let's see what the Thistle fans say. Thank you very, very, very much. That was brilliant.
Thanks, Thomas. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah. Thanks again, Thomas, for coming on and joining us this morning. This will be, well, you'll know when it's out because you'll be watching it, all the listeners and viewers. Big thank you to everybody who also sort of watches the Zoomcast from all of us guys that are involved and all the guests. But also I need to mention Stuart Deans, Stu the Jag, who has been a fountain of knowledge for stuff that we need on his Wiki Foundry page, and Donald Wilson's photographs over the years as well, which we can utilise within when we've got a special guest on. So big thank you to those guys out there as well.
We should probably point out that we think Donald Wilson has a bit of a shine for you, Tomas Cerny. How many photographs did Donald send us?
I thought it's about 4. I don't know. Is it 200?
200
4
photographs.
boxes. Yeah. So thanks again for joining us. Next week we will be joined by Andy Anderson, who is a 70s Thistle legend, part of a great double act with Jackie Campbell. But for now, hopefully you all stay well and stay safe. And to Thomas again, a huge thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers, Thomas.
Thank you for having me, and just to say big, thank you to all Thistle fans, and just as Raymond say, just stay safe. And I think where we are just now, everybody, and obviously Thistle, the only way is up, and I believe there will be a very, very bright future. I think there'll be a bit of a rebuild, and I hopefully be able to take maybe my son back to Firhill to watch that Premiership game at some point.
Brilliant, Thomas. You'll always be welcome. You know that. Thanks again, Thomas.
Okay, take care.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
Bye.
Bye.